Hello, hello, hello. How you doing out there, my brothers and sisters? We are so thankful, glad, just jumping up for joy to see you, and you out there. I'm Mable, your princess of poetry and praise.
And I am Brother Paul.
And we are here on behalf of Amen Communications, Inc. The name of this show is Conversations with Mable. Conversations with Mable. You see on Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. and Sunday afternoons at 1 p.m. on Greensboro Community Television. And if you're busy or running around or doing other things during those times, you can always check out our editions on YouTube. So check us out. Share the links. Let your folks and your friends and your neighbors and your buddies and your homeboys and homegirls know what we're doing with Amen Communications, Inc. Mable, your princess of poetry and praise. So, Brother Paul, I guess what we want people to know more than anything else is that with the nonprofit Amen Communications, Inc., we are able to publish books, and with the proceeds, we are able to give dollars to scholars. And these are graduating scholars from high school who just need an extra push as they go and try to figure out how they're going to get the pieces of paper, whether it's a special certificate, a certification, a special license. They may have to go to trade school or a 2-year college or a 4-year college or university, whatever way we can help students who we see and find who need that extra push. That's who we're trying to help. Now, I know many students have all the help that they need, but there are some students who are like us. We needed all the help we could get, and I appreciate my aunt and my stepfather and my mom and grandmother and everybody in the family who just did all they could to help me out. But it got to a point where they couldn't help anymore, and you better believe Mable found some ways through grants and work study. And Brother Paul, did you have to work too?
Yes, I did have to work in order to make ends meet. I, like you, my parents were not privileged enough to have money to send me to school. So, and even though they probably wanted to, but they didn't have the resources. So therefore, it was incumbent upon me to find and make resources. So I became very creative and was able to make it through. But with this plan that you have, we're going to help students, those who are maybe on the edge, or those who might need a few bucks to get that book, or a few bucks to buy that certification paper, or a few bucks to do that project. Whatever it is, the little money that we're giving will help tremendously. Because I know when I was going to school, every dollar helped.
Every penny helps, doesn't it, Brother Paul?
Yes.
And I think we've talked about the young people we've heard who now just want to get, what's the special certification so they can drive trucks and...
Right. CDL license.
Yes. And beauticians and barbers, they need licenses.
Estheticians.
Yes. People who do fingernails, the special eyebrows and eyelashes. And one young man was telling me that he does tattooing, people who do those videotapes. There are so many new things that young people are into. Real estate, entrepreneurship, where people are selling and marketing things. If that's what you're into, you need to check out my website at www.ablemable1.com. That's www.ablemable1.com, and find out more about what we do. We've already written 2 books. The first book was Faith Over Fear, Bishop Charles Harrison Mason and the Church of God in Christ. And the second book was 38126. Wow, 38126. 38126. King's Kids, nobody said we were poor. Just saying that zip code takes me back to Memphis, Tennessee, back during segregated times when things were really, you talking about buying books, Brother Paul. All the books that we got were raggedy and they were outdated and they were torn up, and it was something else. It was difficult.
That's where you learned, at least we did, when our parents went to the grocery store and got those paper sacks. Those were important for going back to school because we used those paper sacks to make covers for the books because the books had no cover, or if they did have a cover, they were ripped and distorted. So we used to use paper sacks to make our book covers.
And that was in Springfield, Tennessee. I was on the other side of the state in Memphis, Tennessee, and we did the same things with those brown paper bags. Yep. Oh my goodness, isn't that something? Now, yep. Where did we all come up with that idea?
I don't know. Our parents, our grandparents, they were very ingenious, and they came up with all these ideas. But anyway, it worked. And also, those same bags, they were smaller. We didn't have the Mickey Mouse lunch boxes and mermaid boxes and G.I. Joe lunch boxes. We had the paper bag boxes. And if you weren't careful, your bag had a greasy spot by the time it was time for lunch.
I know it. And you know what? You could tell the kids with good lunches because sometimes we would have leftovers. Like if my grandmother did pork chops or fried chicken, you better believe they would put a little piece in your lunch and a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and an apple and a boiled egg, and you thought you were doing it, weren't you, Brother Paul?
Hey, it was high cotton.
It was high cotton, and you put all of those lunch bags with the little greasy bottoms in the cloakroom. By the time our teacher would open up that door, ooh-wee, it smelled like you had just gone in somebody's fine restaurant.
Yep, it smells just like the cafeteria.
I know, it smelled better than the cafeteria.
Well,
you talking about soul food.
Yeah, that's true.
Soul food.
That's true.
So, Brother Paul, how does faith fall into all of this? Faith. What is faith all about?
Well, we know what the biblical aspect of faith is, but bringing it to a secular form, faith is believing in something that you cannot see, but with the expectation of it becoming a reality. That's what faith is in a secular standpoint. These young kids that are going to school, a lot of them have faith that they can go and they can complete and they can achieve. And because of that inner faith that they have, it motivates them to keep pushing when others give up.
You're right. And I just love the enthusiasm I have seen from students in high school as a substitute teacher. It just really, it makes you want to go further and to do more when you see students and they're talking about their dreams. And one student told me that she and her boyfriend were already saving money to get the location to set up the business that they were talking about doing when they graduated. And then another person told me that she already had her license to do nails. And then another student talked about how he was already kind of helping and learning and doing all he could, just watching a barber and other barbers. So many of the students are focusing and they know what they want to do. And one student really made my heart glad when he talked about how his father was an auto mechanic, but they were doing a lot of the work in their backyard or, in their, I guess you could say sometimes maybe in the driveway.
What they call shade tree mechanics.
Okay, I'd never heard of that. But what this young man said is that I want to work hard and continue to learn how to do and gain the skills that my father has. And he wants to go to a trade school, but he also wants to get enough money so he and his father can do work in a real garage, in a real location, somewhere else aside from the home. So that lets you see we have a lot of young people who want to do and who want to move forward. And they see their parents working hard and struggling, and they want to get in that struggle and help them.
Yep. And that's really uplifting to see that the young people do have motivation. And they do have skills, and they do have a plan. And a lot of them are exercising their plan. They got it mapped out, they got it written out, and they're following it. And with that being the case, if they do what they say they're going to do, they shall be successful. And that's faith in the fact that they are doing it because they believe they can do it, and so therefore they are doing it.
They have great expectations because faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things you can't see. So what do you have to do? You have to do what? See it what? Before you can see it.
You got to believe it.
You got to believe it.
You got to accept it, claim it.
And claim it. That's right. Claim it. Claim it. And don't wait till the battle is over. You got to shout now and know that you're going to be able to do what you have to do. Faith in action. What is faith in action, Brother Paul? I think you've already said a little bit.
Well, faith in action is doing what you have faith, what you believe you can do. You don't see it, but you believe that you can do it. And so therefore, you go toward the mark of the high calling. That's what you keep pushing, and you keep believing, and you keep doing it. Don't let anyone discourage you. Oh, yeah, they're going to be the naysayers going to say you can't do it. You don't have the money to do it. You're not qualified to do it. What you're trying to do, people like you who don't look like you are doing it, but you can't do it. That's only a naysayer. That's just trying to bring you down. Don't let those folks bring you down. If you have the motivation, if you have the desire, follow your dream. I heard the night on TV when they were doing the Tony Awards. One lady said, by the fact that she won this award, it lets you know you can do anything you put your mind to do. There's nothing impossible with who?
G-O-D, God.
Nothing's impossible with
God.
God.
Nothing is impossible if you put your faith in God. But you got to step out there on faith and not think that some fairy godmother or some Santa Claus or some bellhop is going to come in and give you exactly what you need. You're going to have to work. You're going to have to work. Where is work in the dictionary? It's at the end, but you gotta pull that in. You gotta pull that in, and you gotta say, I am going to work. I need success. I need to make it. I need to pay my car note and pay the car. I guess you could say the insurance, and you got to have the assurance that you can pay the insurance and pay for the gas and take care of the tires. And you have to have all that in your mind before you start saying what kind of car you want. Think about it.
You can't sit on the sofa and watch TV and expect the job to come fall in your lap. Oh, I know right now we got the internet and we have all these people who are working from home. But even those who are working from home, they had to do something in order to encumber the job to come to them. You can't just sit there and do nothing.
That's right.
I have never heard of someone knocking on somebody's door and say, "Bing dong, I got a job for you." No, that don't happen. You got to go out and scratch and look, search, and seek. And what did it say about seeking? Seek,
and ye shall find. Knock. And so many scriptures in the Bible can be related to just everyday life, because that's what everyday life is all about. That's the beautiful thing that I loved about Jesus's teachings and about Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Jesus talked in simple terms so that farmers and fishermen and regular old people, ordinary people like you and me and all of us, You could understand what Jesus was saying. He wasn't talking in some multisyllable, acronyms and big words and compound words. You know how some people try to talk like they're scholars? Just break it down and make it real so that folks, everyday people, can understand what's going on. If you don't work, you don't eat. And don't be thinking, Grandma love you. Mama, them, dad, all of them love you. But eventually they're going to say, hey, what happens with birds and with eagles and all the animals? Watch them. Eventually they started weaning those little birds and kind of getting them ready to leave the nest because they're going to have to get some wings and fly.
Yep, you can't just hang around always. We heard one young man say, "Well, I'm living with my grandma, and she will be live there forever." Well, you're not thinking quite straight because grandma, as much we would like for her to, ain't gonna live forever. And if you outlive grandma, which means you're gonna be on your own, and how you gonna handle that?
Dun, 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 dun.
Because if grandma been taking care of the bills, grandma been feeding you, clothing you, washing your clothes, and also grandma ain't there to do that, it's gonna be a real eye opener, a real shocker. Yep. That's why sometimes you go to these funerals and people are howling, falling out. They howling, falling out because they don't miss it because their good thing is gone, and they realize it's gone.
Yes,
it's over.
But it's too late then.
Yep.
It's too late then when really we should be helping them instead of them helping us. I remember my folks used to sing Billie Holiday songs, and I just thought they were singing because it was music you heard on the radio. Mama may have, Papa may have, but God bless who?
Child.
That's got what?
His own.
That means that all of us got to get out here and, what did I say earlier? What's in the dictionary? WORK. We got to work. Think about the people who were with the disciples. Think about the disciples, those who were surrounding Jesus. All of them came from different backgrounds, but guess what? All of them had some type of job or some kind of skill, or they were doing something before they joined Jesus. Some of the jobs were good jobs. Some of them were a little unscrupulous, but whatever they did, they were working. They were actively involved. And that's what we all have to do. We have to be involved and we have to want to do better. Better. Better.
That's for sure. That's for sure. So if we don't do anything else today, we want to encourage you to set a plan, put it in motion, write the vision,
and make it plain. That's right. Write the vision and make it plain. So, Brother Paul, when you were trying to decide what you were going to do in life, did you write a vision and make it plain? Or, how did you know you majored in undergraduate school in what?
Well,
oh Lord, here comes a long story, y'all.
No, it ain't gonna be long. It'll be short.
Okay.
When I went to school, I had aspirations to be an architect.
Well,
that's what I wanted to do. So I go to school and find out that architecture was like a 5-year degree. And that was if you passed everything on time. Well, we knew that wasn't going to happen. So we thought, no, we go in architecture, we'll be there 10 years trying to get that little piece of paper. So we changed our degree to something more realistic. And so we ended up majoring in industrial management.
Industrial management, and what does that mean?
Managing things in the industry. It was a broad major, but it gave you the skills to be able to manage logistics and warehousing and line controls and all those kind of things that are apropos to industry
and manufacturing.
Right.
Okay, so you worked for a number of Fortune 500 companies, but did you think this was all just going to fall in place? What was in the back of your mind? You just wanted to get that piece of paper.
I wanted to get the piece of paper, and my dreams were dashed because the first job I had, was nothing like I had anticipated. I had anticipated a job, maybe not on Wall Street, but on somebody's street, with an office and a desk and a window with a view. That's what I fantasized and dreamed of. Well, unfortunately, my first job was so far from that, it wasn't funny. Uh, I had to get out there into the mix. When I worked, the first one I had was with a Cargill, which was a agricultural kind of company. Here again, so far from what I had dreamed I would be doing. I didn't want to have nothing to do with planting, plucking, pulling, none of that. But anyway, I ended up working for Cargill, who made cornstarch, and yes, it was just what you think, cornstarch, and it was dusty, and I would come home many nights full of just as white as a sheet, and as black as I was. but uh, but
But you'd have on your little hard hat and your goggles and those big industrial shoes and everything.
but you know what? It paid good.
It paid real good.
And so because of that, hey, you do what you got to do. The money was good, and then when I started comparing folks sitting behind the desk, hey, they weren't pulling the green I was pulling at the time. So therefore, it all worked out. It all worked out.
And I'm glad you're saying this, Brother Paul, because people out there, especially young people, they need to hear this and know this. The jobs that might make you happy and may be in your major may not always be jobs where you're going to wear a suit and tie. And what did you say? Be in this office and everything.
Mm-hmm.
You never know where you're going to end up and what you're going to have to wear. I know in some of the jobs I've had, in order to write things, in order to shoot interviews and everything, I had to put on some jeans and some sweatshirts and some big old boots and a hard hat like Brother Paul to go to a landfill and go where the stories where you have to do what you got to do. But Brother Paul, I remember seeing you, and I met you for lunch one day, and you came downtown Memphis. You probably don't even remember. And one of our friends worked in a bank. And I noticed how he acted like he didn't even know who you were. And after we left, and I went back to my job at this radio station, and I laughed. I said, that little twerp, yeah, I'm going to call him a twerp. He still is a little twerp. But that little twerp sitting there with his, GQ suit and shiny shoes and nice tie and shirt, he was making a pittance compared to what my sweetheart, he was my boyfriend then, compared to what Brother Paul was making, even though he said he got dusty and dirty. It doesn't matter. You can always take a bath. In many of the places where you work, in those circumstances, they have places where you can get cleaned up before you go home. But if they don't worry about it. Jump in your car, go home, take a shower, and hey,
And on top of that, all the money I saved on having to buy suits and ties and the cleaners and stuff like that, hey, that was money in the bank for me.
I never thought about that aspect. Mm-hmm. But you're right. You never know where God is going to place you, and it will be for your good. I had no idea I was coming to North Carolina. But because of this man, here I am.
And she would never let me forget it.
I had a really, really good job. I did, but I gave it up to be with Brother Paul.
Life now is sweet. And your joy is complete.
Okay. All right. Okay, Brother Paul. Okay. But we just want to share real deal stories with you in conversations with Mable. And I'm so thankful that my husband has taken some time to help me out a little bit over these last couple of weeks. And I'm sure you have enjoyed his humor, but he's telling the truth. This is what real life is like. You got to get out there. You got to work. You got to study to show yourself approved. You have to be a lifelong learner from the womb to the tomb, and always be ready for new adventures. New adventures. Did you think that when you were working at Cargill, you'd end up working at Miller Brewing in North Carolina?
Not at all. Not at all. And matter of factly, uh, I was with Cargill, and I moved around with them quite a bit. But my last assignment was in Memphis. I moved from Memphis to North Carolina, and I thought, okay, I'll go to North Carolina, and I thought, well, I ain't gonna be there that long because I was used to being bounced around every 2 or 3 years, so I thought the same thing would happen. But I got
Because you live what in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and Minnesota,
Ohio,
Oh my goodness!
around and round and round.
It was cold in some of those places.
As a matter of fact, all those places were cold. Iowa, Ohio, all those places, Minnesota, they were all chilly.
Chilly.
But anyway, got to North Carolina, and I don't know. I got here, as they say, I got captured, and been here ever since. So this is like home now. I've been here so long.
Been here so long.
I won't tell you how long, but I've been here a long time.
And I have too. And it was nothing but God who opened doors for both of us and gave us jobs so we could do what we needed to do, have a shelter over our head. As my grandmama told Paul, you make sure she has a shelter over her head.
Yep. Well, hey, I hope I said something that inspired someone. Maybe got you a little bit of a chuckle along the way, but it's all good. It's all good.
It is all good. So this is Conversations with Able Mable, and today has been Able Mable and who?
Brother Paul.
Brother Paul, and we're just so thankful that you joined us. You can check us out at www.ablemable1.com. That's www.ablemable1.com. Also go to YouTube and you can see these episodes at any time at your leisure. Whenever you want to, you can see them, and they're available on YouTube. Just type in Conversations with Able Mable. Conversations with Able Mable. Thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate you. We thank you for just being part of our audience and being part of our family. And keep sending us little notes. Keep calling us up, sending an email or a text. Let us know what you think that we can do and talk about to share with you, and you. And always remember, faith over fear. Faith over fear. Love you all. Ta-ta.
Until next time.